Welcome to another episode of Listen, and here in this episode I am very, very, very happy to interview one of my very, very close friends, someone who's been a supporter of me and the arts and everything around him basically for as long as I can remember. This man is truly going to be something one day. I truly believe this, inshallah. And he is possibly, just for me, just personally, one of the biggest inspirations that I can think of. His name is Ahmad Hamada. He goes by KC. He's a dancer, he's a rapper, he's a thinker. He is going to be something big one day, and I would just leave the rest to him. Ahmed, take it.
Yo, if blushing has a sound, this is what this sounds like. This is what blushing sounds like. Because you can't show it, but really, you're too kind with your words. You've humbled me beyond, like, you do it way too often when we meet, man. Like,
True.
You gotta criticize me every once in a while.
A lot of our meeting time gets cut in half because of the complimenting.
Oh, damn, man. You're just, I'm just gonna make a song about how nice you are.
There it is.
I'm gonna do my method.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Ahmed, please tell us, let's get right into it, honestly.
Yes.
Who are you?
Who I am. I was born Ahmed Nader Hakim, but as the persona that I've built is KC Trixz. I've been KC Trixz since I was 11. And
who is KC Trixz, to be very precise?
KC Trixz. Damn, it's kind of embarrassing because I was again 11. KC stands for Killer Cuts.
What?
This is G-Unit era Ahmed. You know, he was big into Eminem and 50 Cent and Tony Yayo. And so
Killer Cuts.
I was trying to be. It's Killer with an A. Please.
Oh, okay, Killer
Please.
Cuts. Is it A-H? Killer? Like,
Yeah, Killer.
Killer
No
Cuts.
H's. Just Killa. Cuts.
Type it. Find him. Google it.
So yeah, Casey, and the Tricks came like a year afterwards, where I was just like, Casey by itself just doesn't sound good enough for me.
Oh my lord.
So, and Tricks is with a Z, like, please. This was when I started getting into Tupac. So like, you know, vocabulary and spelling was not a priority at that time.
Not
So it was
a priority.
Trixz. And yes.
So Trixz is...
Trixz. That's Casey Trixz.
Okay, but no, by profession, who was KC Trixz?
KC
Okay,
Trixz.
is KC Trixz still around?
Yes, definitely, every
Okay.
single day. KC Trixz started out as a rapper, and now he's producing music. He's orchestrating artists.
Do you want to stop talking in third person?
What?
Do you want to stop talking?
It's just that Ahmed and KC are not always the same people.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go on.
KC is about energy, and he's about music and movement, and Ahmed is about thought and rationale. Sometimes KC's not always like that. And so
That's very interesting.
So me, when I make my music, I'm not as people say, music is expression.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what I can't say out loud, I say in my music, because there are no rules when there's music. But in terms of speech, it's a different story, of course.
Of course.
So I'm not trying to be pretentious by like, yeah, Casey's a different spirit, you know. It's just
Different entity inside.
yeah, but I mean, like, it's very common, especially within hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, you have the Eminem, Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers characters. You have Mac Miller and Larry Fisherman, and then you have Lil Wayne and his Martian persona. And so, like, those are
that's the
just
thing.
stark examples. Like, MF Doom has, if I'm not mistaken, at least 3 personas. And so it's just a thing with hip hop, because you can't box yourself in. Especially with the freedom and lyricism, you can talk about almost anything in rap. As we've seen multiple times when white people try to reach out to kids, there's like, oh, do we work for aquariums? Like, let's talk about cleansing little house aquariums. And it's like, let's rap. You can do that. You can't do that with a pop song.
True.
You know, unless you know, you're very ambitious.
Very ambitious, very talented.
You're really trying to embarrass your kids. So yeah.
All right. So what else is there about? Okay, this is one question that I really wanted to ask you. What is the one, or what is a certain quality about yourself that you, if you saw it in someone else, you're like, that is very me. That is something that reminds me of myself a lot.
Skeptic.
Ooh.
I question myself, question everything ever since the day I was born. And I never understood it. I always felt different from it because I've never seen it in anybody else. You have to really look for it in people that just ask about everything and analyze everything. And I analyze every single interaction I've had since childhood. And one day I was doing a tour at Skyline University College, which is in Sharjah. And I met their psychology professor. And he said that the IQ is used to measure intelligence. EQ is used to measure character, or
the emotional
Exactly, the emotional aspect of a person, and he was giving us different stuff, and then one day it just clicked when he said intrapersonal. There's interpersonal and there's intra with an A. So intrapersonal is a trait that usually thinkers, philosophers, authors have. And before he said that, of course, he didn't say philosophers. I was like, you know what? I'm a philosopher. No, it was at first he was talking about the traits. You know what I mean? And the traits was they question everything. They always ask, why are we here? What do we do? They just look left and right. They're always
existential.
Yeah, they're never focused on just one thing. Their questions are all around. Their eyes are everywhere. And I said, that's totally me. Like, absolutely. Like, I finally, there's a label.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to, like, explain myself. Like, I ask about stuff, and I always question too much about little details. I don't know what that's about. But then one day it was just, like, intrapersonal. And it's ingrained in me to just say, hey, I'm intrapersonal. Google it. I'm done explaining. So that is a trait of me that I cherish very, very much.
That's very awesome.
Because it helped me finding happiness, gratefulness, you know, and comparisons. Of course, with asking questions, you can easily compare many things. And especially in hip hop, also a trait in hip hop is competition, the spirit of comparing rappers and b-boys and DJs. There's always that spirit of comparison. And that's also happened, of course, in my family, because my dad is a big sports guy. My mom is much into fashion and TV. And my brother is also following that sports trait. So I've never been 100% subjective about everything. I always looked at objectivity also, which is I try to keep a balance. I can't say it's just art. Sometimes I have to say, like, there's good and there's bad. There's a way to tell.
You draw the line.
You can't be neutral all the time. So yeah, intrapersonality is a trait that I am, I'd say, blessed to have and suffer from sometimes. Because overthinking, I understand a lot of people overthink. Yeah. But I'm fairly confident that I overthinking.
Yeah, like, and I think everyone who does overthink, they also think that about themselves. They're like, I know everyone overthinks, but I also do that a lot.
I feel like the people in this room are definitely have intrapersonal characteristics.
Possibly.
In this room, I mean, people that hopefully you will hear from soon. That's not my job to tell you.
Yes.
So
you'll hear from them soon.
You'll hear from them soon. Inshallah. Shout out to my man Jacob and AJ.
Shout out to the
my
boys.
Mans. Gotta keep it plural.
No,
mans.
Mans, alright.
This is 21st century.
Yes.
Please, man.
Don't.
No, I'm just kidding.
Alright.
I'm just trying to.
I want to move on. That was actually a very interesting answer, and I really liked a lot of the bits that you said.
I didn't stretch the answer.
No. You kept it as... You said what you had to say, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I want to move on, though. I want to ask... You mentioned a little bit about your father and your mother and, your brothers.
Yes.
And you also mentioned a lot of things about hip-hop, but I want to ask you, where would you say that you are from? And so you can introduce yourself as Iraqi.
Yes.
And but I want to know
that also.
So first, let's go with the superficial, where you're from.
Yeah.
But then let's get really in there.
Okay. So where I'm from, nationality. I say this on my social media a lot. My blood is from lands of rugs and sands, which is the Middle East, of course. So I have family from, genetically and passport-wise, I don't want to say genetically, that was stupid. I have an Iranian passport, but I have a lot of Iraqi in my family. I actually speak Iraqi Arabic better than I do Farsi. And but I was born and raised in Dubai. But my first language is English. It's the most confident language I have in terms of my daily communication. And my art form. Living in Dubai afforded me that opportunity. And so I can't rap in English or Farsi. Arabic or Farsi.
Have you ever tried?
English. Yes, of course. Arabic I can, but it's much, much slower compared to English.
And did it ever
It wasn't bad, but it's just not something I'd be proud of.
Okay.
And so that's the superficial side of it. Another thing is, of course, I struggled growing up. Is like, I know where I'm from, but where is home? And that's also something that I learned from Suerte, the term, and he used the term in a song called Third Culture Kid. And immediately, I don't even know the context of what he used that as, but I was like, yes, I know what that means.
That is what I am.
I'm definitely that.
It was like the interpersonal switch.
Exactly.
Like, yes.
Exactly. I was like, there's a label. Now I can Google it, see where it comes from. What are the symptoms? Like it's a disease or something. No, it's not. But it's like, what are the characteristics of it? Just because I ask a lot about everything, but all of that is to know where do I stand, what is my purpose, what is my relationship with all these things I question, and knowing what a third culture kid person is, and to know that I'm not the only person going through that. Of course, living in Dubai, some people get comfortable to the extent that I feel like, okay, maybe this is something that I just share with myself, but people actually hold it in, you know, they don't, because it's a new way of life. You know, the way of life that is in Dubai is not at all common in many countries. Maybe in Qatar, maybe in Bahrain, Kuwait, but those are very similar.
We're like an experiment generation.
Exactly. So
we've never been done before.
We've never been done before. It's like the X-Men, man. Anyways, yeah, I'm big into comic books. Not as big. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but I'm an enthusiast. Anyways, the point is, yeah.
Actually, I want to break for 1 second. I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you ever get and this is just a quick tangent before we get back to our main line of questioning. Yeah. Do you ever get shy or do you ever get embarrassed to ask all these questions that you do?
Oh, of course.
Has there ever been a moment where
I still do? Like,
do I ask? Really, am I not being too annoying? Like,
no, definitely. It's usually the hardest part of my days and weeks. And
do you overcome that fear and ask anyway? You're like, you know what? I gotta know.
It really no, but here's the thing. Like, I don't ask in the sense of just asking people and look for those answers. Sometimes I just ask myself, like, why does this happen? And I wouldn't be asking if there was an answer. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be asking if I knew who to ask. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be afraid to ask if I just knew who to ask. So sometimes I just let the relationship or the dynamic of my interaction give me an answer, how I feel about it.
So you just wait it out, but you are still looking for that answer.
Yes, of course, all the time.
That's perfect. That's actually really cool.
I hope so.
It is. I want to. Going back to where you're from and what places you relate to, the languages that are close to home, all that. Please go on.
Okay, so here's the thing about Dubai as well. So I have these nationalities that are hereditary, and then I have this Arabic culture that I've been infused. Of course, because Arabic culture has many different segments of its own, which is beautiful. Because in Dubai, I can say I'm fairly fluent in the culture of not just language, but also media and food, and just the way of life of like Lebanese and Syrians and Jordanians. And then the Gulf people, and then the North African Arabs, and
it's the melting pot.
Exactly, and then that's just like the Arab side of the world, and then there's the huge Asian population here, and of course the Western side of the world, the Europeans. I'd say Europeans because there's just a bigger side of Europeans in Dubai compared to Americans and Canadians, and Southern Americas. And with that being said, also those cultures are very much they bleed into my psyche in terms of what I learn in different contexts, different interactions. Interactions is a key word today, I guess. And also with that, my consumption of media has really affected how I look into the world.
Hip hop being one of your main
hip hop, Hollywood,
and comics.
Yeah, comics. Comics very recently, honestly. It hasn't been more than 2 years since I've started getting into comics.
Same here, actually.
Yeah, so it's mainly from TV shows rather than actual comics. As a kid, I just read Archie's Digest.
Yeah, okay.
But that's pretty much
it.
And
the Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Are they considered comics? I don't know.
They're not comics, but they're still like
a series of books.
Yeah, a series of books that everyone's gonna relate to. They're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Goosebumps, definitely. Anamorphosis, was it called? Animorphs.
They used to transform into animals for anyone who's curious.
Yeah, the pictures were much more interesting than the story.
there was a spoof. It was called the Vegemorphs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so these kids would transform into vegetables like carrots.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I didn't know how to either, but
I'm a cucumber. I'm an eggplant.
And wink. The covers of the books used to be the ones because you'd see this child transforming into a cucumber or something.
I wonder how their PR was like. It's like, it's about people being vegetables. Oh damn!
You have to check this out.
And it's like, this publication has donated this much money to these charities regarding disabilities.
Probably did really well with vegans and stuff like that.
Oh, you never know. I swear to God. But back in the day, I mean, this is 10 years ago when I was used to be in those books, and veganism wasn't as prominent as it is now. So.
Let's not go down that road.
Point is. Culture-wise, I think I've said all I can say at the moment.
All right, that sounds. I'm very satisfied though with your answer, and I really have.
I'm glad I have your approval.
Yes, you have my satisfaction.
I seek approval. I have daddy issues. No,
that's going straight into the podcast.
I'm glad you're getting what you're looking for.
No, but
these are
striving
to do.
No, but this is exactly what I was looking forward to. Very deep, intrinsic answers from yourself,
I'm glad.
And it's a different flavor from The last interview that I did was Jacob.
See, flavor is a very b-boy word.
Flavor is also a food word.
But you said it with an R, so
we're
we're very disappointed.
Should have been flavor. Like
the b-boy community is hella disappointed.
They've always been disappointed with me too.
No, man.
Should have been the flavor, like killer cuts.
Yeah, man, exactly. Yeah, grammar don't matter in hip hop sometimes. Right?
Speaking of hip hop, let us get into the third question, and this is something I wanted to get from you. What are you doing?
What am I doing? Okay, so I started with rapping.
Okay.
Then I started getting into soul singing. No, I'm just kidding. My voice sucks.
R&B?
No, not happening anytime soon. It started with rapping, just lyricism, and I've been doing that since I was 11. And wow, I almost
Did
cussed.
you just
Sorry about that. I just realized it's been 10 years since I've been rapping. Like, wow. Anyways, the point of rapping is not releasing stuff. It's just writing. And writing lyrics and performing lyrics is two different arts. So I'd say I'm fairly good at writing lyrics. It's just the performing part that I'm still practicing, that I'm not 100% confident, just 95%.
But would you say that your writing self has developed into something that you can...
You're
confident with
yes,
to show
absolutely,
it to other people, like,
absolutely,
this is my writing.
100%. I feel like I'm showcasing my children whenever I show people my raps. I'm more than proud to show every single day something to the people. The people. And then
would you say that performing is harder than writing?
Performing, it really depends on your relationship. It depends on my relationship with the song. Every song I have a different relationship with it, and of course it depends on who I'm performing it to, and if it's like in the studio or if it's like a live performance. But in live performances, usually I'm very excited because I really prepare.
And have you performed live?
I can count like maybe 2 to 3 times, and it wasn't even like main events. It's usually just poetry slams, stuff like that. I haven't released anything.
Those are pretty dope though. Yeah.
Yes, I haven't released anything because I just want to make something that only I can make, and I always find myself in this loophole of doing stuff that I've already heard or is already done, and so I'm really setting some extremely ambitious standards for myself, which is counterproductive sometimes. But I just want to put out something. Because I've told Jacob this, and I've told you this in our previous conversations. My name is going to be on it forever. One day my parents are going to just... sorry, not my parents. My kids are going to go through the attic. I was like, Dad, what was this about? It's like, oh, Hot Nigga was a huge song back in the day. I had to put a freestyle. Like, no, I don't want to have to answer to that. You know what I mean? I want them to be like, wow, my dad said something. You know?
You want them to figure it out for themselves. Like, oh, this was my father.
Exactly. And God forbid I have children. No shit.
Wait, what?
That's God forbid I have children and I'm not around. I want to leave something, not just for my kids, for my brothers. For my family members, because in my family not many people do music. If I'm being completely honest, I think I'm the first person who's pursuing it more than just taking classes and performing at school recitals. So I want something that my family would be like, yeah, like he's doing that and he's
something
good
that
at
exists beyond yourself.
Exactly. And it's something that they can listen to. I don't want it to be like a foreign concept to them, like every other single rap artist has done in the world. You know, my family can't relate to that, and I want them to see what I see. But the only reason I can relate to that is because of what I've consumed and what I've grew up to here. But if I grew up in, let's say, Iran or Iraq, I don't think I've ever been into hip hop because there isn't that link between a common resident of those countries and the current state or the previous state of hip hop.
Do you think that in your attempts to try and link, you know, your heritage and your people with hip hop and
mainstream hip hop, just to make sure.
Mainstream hip hop is really
the Middle East has a beautiful, thriving, passionate scene. It's just the lack of platforms, and I just have to say shout out to, off the top of my head, I don't want to list way too many names, just some OGs that I truly respect.
Go for it.
That really inspire
me.
That
we all respect in this room.
And the Narcissist. Like beyond, like I'll just say these 2 names. The list will be on my next few songs. Okay, just check out my SoundCloud, yo.
We'll plug it in in the description.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
And
no, but I want to ask, like, do you think in an attempt to link, you know, your heritage and your countries with hip hop, do you think you will ever, or perhaps one day, experiment with trying to link the languages and trying to link...
Definitely. If I can't do it, as I said...
or you will meet up with artists from these places. Because I've heard of... There have been Arab rappers for sure. There have been...
Definitely.
Possibly even Farsi rappers. I've heard... I don't know if...
Farsi rap scene is like beyond. It's one of the strongest rap
Tech 9, I
in the
believe,
world.
has worked with...
Yes, he has.
He worked with Turkish rappers.
No, he did with Persian rappers too.
Oh, okay.
Yes, definitely. And he actually rapped a little bit of Persian too.
No.
Definitely, yeah. It was actually pretty sick. But to make it clear though, as I said, I have challenges from time to time performing my raps, aside from writing them. And it kind of humbled me to the extent that I'm not the voice to every single thing I write. Because my voice has a certain image to itself.
That's a very profound thing to realize.
I appreciate it. And so sometimes, and I told Jacob this, I was like, is it against hip-hop rules to write something and have someone else perform it? Because I know there are ghost writers.
Then you're a ghostwriter,
Are there ghost rappers?
You can't
is that a bad thing? So sometimes I've met rappers who just have a voice that can express what I'm writing. Sometimes I just can't express them with my vocal range.
I don't see why you should not be allowed to pursue. If you feel that that's okay, I think that's okay to do.
Exactly. So, and to just go on to the next question before we do, to make it clear, it's very important to me that people know this. Hip hop is just more than rapping, of course.
Oh yeah.
And so I have dabbled in very passionately into dancing and just very recently into beat making and DJing. But I don't think I'd ever be able to call myself a DJ because that stuff is not just playing music anymore. It's a performance art of its own, and so is b-boying. But I'd say I'm fairly confident and fairly proud of what I've achieved with my dancing. But it's always been a B-side compared to what I've done with rap. Rap is always going to be my main. And I've also dabbled in graffiti, but that's also just enthusiasm. It's never been.
Very quickly gonna say that the first time I heard and saw of KC was when he won a bunch of championships back in the day when I used to be back in the day. When I say back in the day, I mean like 2-3 years ago. But I remember seeing him as a champion of dances. He was a popper and locker, and
appreciate it, man.
He was just creative with all the stuff that he did, and he used to compete regularly at these slam jams and the scene in Dubai. He used to try and come and support, and he would come and support it as much as he would. And to me, that's where I first saw him. And if I had known then what I know now about him, I think I would have just fangirled all over.
Much love, man. Please.
And I actually remember my first interaction with him. I don't know if you remember this.
I think I do.
But I was just like, again, for me, the scene was always a little bit out of my comfort zone because all these dancers were so amazing, and I'm just like this small, skinny Pakistani kid that doesn't really know what exactly he's doing, but I'm still trying. So I was just in front of the mirror, I'm practicing some moves, I'm doing stuff, and then this guy comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, yo, the thing that you did was really dope. Like, honestly, big ups. And I was like, oh, thank you, man, that's so nice of you. And then he goes by, and I'm like, oh, what a nice guy in the scene. Oh, what a cool guy. And later when he goes up to compete, everyone says, KC, KC, KC. And I'm like, wait, KC, why does that ring a bell? And then the MC announces that this guy is he's the current champion, and he's going for a second. And I'm like, oh my lord, I just got complimented by the champ. And to me, just on the inside, I was like, no way, did he actually see something inside me, something that I did, and he complimented it? When, like, to me, that was just monumental. And that was my first interaction with KC. And
I remember it. I definitely do.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely. And to be fair with you, I meant what I said.
Oh, yeah.
What I said to you, I've only said to 3 b-boys in my entire dancing life span. And it was for a good reason. You were just doing your thing, honestly. It was original. It had emotion. It was no choreographed steps. And I genuinely enjoyed it.
I just wish I remember what I did, but
I can remember the image.
I think I kind of remember. It was something to do with my knees and I don't know.
It was a lot of swishing around.
It was a lot of that was my thing. I used to one of my biggest influences was B-Boy Cloud, and
exactly. I saw that. Yes.
Daniel Cloud Campos was such a big
absolutely
thing for me.
Man is a legend. He inspired me to dabble into b-boying. As you said, I'm a popper, locker, stand-up dancer, crumper. But because of Cloud and Nagin and Lilu, I was like, I want to try b-boying. Let me give it a hand.
These guys were and at least for us, like at the time, we were not so much into dancing right now, but like, we still remember them and revere them.
Yes, those definitely. Meeting Lilu was one of my highlights, like of life. Like that's something I would carry with me forever.
I think for me, Munir was the guy I met, and I was like, oh,
Munir,
what a champion!
I wasn't here. Damn. Yeah, I got really salty.
Speaking of influences, I think this is a great segue. Shout out to the 2 segways he has in his house.
Oh my god, man! Damn.
He has 2 segways in this house. It's crazy.
Guys, I don't take that many selfies. I'm just saying.
No, but
I don't feel the stereotype.
So this was a great segue into our next question, which is who and what are your influences?
It really just depends on what part of my life. Okay, so let's say general influences. Definitely my father, and I'm not saying that because he's my father. He wasn't an influence to me to me he was just like dad.
Yeah.
Up till the age of probably 15, 16. where I snapped out of my teen angst and my slim fit jeans and my gelled hair. And
We've all
just,
had those.
yeah, where one day I just looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, I'm not happy. Clothes aren't doing anything for me. These social friends of cool people aren't doing anything for me. And was like the dark times of KC, because this is when I kind of had a brief hiatus from rapping, and because it wasn't like cool thing, and everybody was into emo stuff, and this is where I started shying away from asking questions. And I was like, it's just not the cool thing, it's just something wrong with me. And then by the age of 15, 16, my father got a whole lot more open with me, because I was like mature enough to hear things about life, about what he's been through, about what he's gone through. And of course, a recurring theme with first generation Dubai expatriates is that they had to work through shins, knees, and bones to get to where they are right now. I mean, a lot of my friends ask me, where do you get that from? The shins and knees quote. But I honestly can't remember where it came from. It's just to emphasize on scraping against the hardest of conditions to get to where you are. And not to get too detailed about where my father's upbringing was, it's his story to tell. But once that happened, it really woke me up. And his character, his way of seeing things, the things that he has been through and the way he's lived life, I definitely feel more confident in being around my father during work hours rather than going to university. And I can just 100% confidently say that I will have much more how do I say this, like things worth noting for employment and just life in general from my father and what he can teach.
Of course. And I really like, again, this is another compliment that you're gonna just start blushing with, but
bro,
I don't know, it's very clear in your personality and what you are today that your father is the totally upright standing citizen of the world, not just any country.
He's one of the, if he had the resources that I did, I promise you I put myself to shame, because it's if he had the resources I did, I genuinely think he could change the world. Genuinely, I think he could legit change the world. His mind is like that, and I'm very grateful every single day to have him around me. I can't say that to his face, because it's just the dynamic of our relationship. I
think that's the dynamic between a lot of fathers and sons.
Yes,
just like don't want to get too soft on them.
Exactly. So I can't say this. Hopefully one day my music will tell him. I can't even show him my music. It's just, I don't know, I feel a little shy about it.
Does he know that you?
Yeah. Oh yes, he was so supportive. Like when I was like, I want to go to audio school, and he was like, and here's the thing with my dad. When I was looking to universities, I was like, Murdoch, Wollongong, do the typical marketing type. No offense to whoever goes to that. Everybody has their own paths to take. It didn't feel 100% to me. And then I saw SAE, and I just told him, hey, I just ran into this university called SAE after I checked out Middlesex, and it's about this and that. And he was like, you'll never be successful in anything if your heart is not in it, regardless of how much money it makes. So it's better that you're struggling and happy rather than... not a lot of fathers will say, hey, you're going to struggle. It's like, I don't give a damn. No, my father, of course, very much cares. But he was like, I can't help you forever. And if you feel like you can truly just put your heart in it, regardless of how bad or good you are at it, or how good bad situations are, because the economy is always going to be shitty and good. Like, I don't know why I can't say bad. I'm sorry for the cussing. But fine. And to note, every single project I think I will ever put out is going to be parental advisory, explicit content.
Oh, go for it.
I think for the rest of my life, it's
that is you.
Like that.
You go for it.
So yes, that's dad in terms of just life in general. In terms of music and other things, okay, cinema definitely has had an influence on me. Harry Potter, I'm not even exaggerating, to a spiritual level has touched me. It's just a lot of life lessons in those films.
For me, it's Naruto, so you do.
Okay, in those films, there's a lot of life lessons to take. Okay. Charlie Bartlett is a film that really touched me, and the main actor, and I can't even act like I know. I don't even remember his full name. I just remember his Anton Yelmovich, if I'm not mistaken. But it's the movie that touched me more than anything. And the actor recently passed away, and I told my friend Jacob, like, the movie had such an impact on me that I legit had a dream that I ran into him, and I cried, and I hugged him, and I just said, thank you for Charlie Bartlett. Thank you for how you portrayed that character, because it changed my life.
That is beautiful.
Yes, Charlie Bartlett, Oprah the homie. Oprah has the idea of Oprah and what she's gone through and what she's transcended to. Philosophers, just the general mainstream philosophers, Plato, Socrates, have definitely influenced me. Sartre, Machiavelli, and sometimes a little bit.
I know you're waiting for this. The musicians.
The musicians. Let's get to the musicians. This might make people cringe really bad. Okay. So it's like Lil Wayne. Let's be honest. He's one of my greatest influencers.
But let's be fair.
Soulja Boy.
No. Let me justify his thing. Whenever I think this came up once or twice, Lil Wayne, he listens to his mixtapes and he listens to stuff.
The mixtapes. Yes.
The mixtapes.
Albums. He makes great albums.
The albums, like he listens to the apparent good content that Lil Wayne puts out.
Yes,
I have not checked it out myself yet, but I will trust.
I'm not gonna lie. Like Lil Wayne has made some bad stuff. Like as a fan, I'm just saying it. You know what I mean? Or just some garbage straight up.
Yeah.
But there are some stuff that he's done is timeless that no other rapper in history can ever replicate, no matter how hard they try. Eminem definitely. Dr. Dre, hands down, like beyond. This man is the Mozart / Beethoven / any other mainstream orchestra. Damn, I forgot the name. Composers. He is the god of composition of hip hop. Hands down.
All right.
If you heard Compton, his last album, you'll definitely see why I have that sentiment. Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, I'm not saying that just because, they're the guys. But, I've been on them since, I'd say, 2009, 2010, back when, way before Dr. Dre or Jay-Z knew who they were. Yeah. I was really into underground hip-hop back in those days. A$AP Rocky is definitely influential to me. His character, his persona, his spirit. It's not always about lyrics. Sometimes it's just not about the music. Like, for example, no offense to Finn Stables. I haven't listened to his music just yet, but I love watching his interviews. I love hearing him talk. And so sometimes it doesn't have to be just musical. That's hip-hop side. In terms of other music, Sum 41 has made a great impact. 30 Seconds to Mars, hands down. Yeah. I made this resolution last year to actually start buying music again. I'm guilty of torrenting.
Oh yeah,
and so it was a big deal for me to start buying music.
I feel guilty. At least I want to at least start giving them the YouTube plays.
Exactly. And so in my resolution, I ended up buying every 30 Seconds to Mars album. Birdie is my Beatles. How the people have that soul connection with the Beatles. That's Birdie to me. Every single song she's put out is ingrained in my heart. It's muscle memory. If God forbid I have Alzheimer's, you play Birdie, I'm gonna sing along. It's just in my muscle. And I've of course purchased every album she's done through. I wanted to I think I've said way too much.
Nah, I mean, I think we've got a slight.
I think we're gonna chop this into parts, or maybe. Just
I was thinking about chop. We'll see what we're gonna do with that. But I'm very happy with what we have so far. I just really want to ask real quick.
Yes.
Final question: how would you like to finish?
As a rapper, I'd finish with a rap.
Would you?
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. Please.
All right. So to put context, Muhammad Hakam, who does Blank Space open mic sessions. I wrote this in hopes that I would be on that thing on one of his platforms, but the opportunity never came up. Just timing conflicts, and I just thought, but this was before you had this podcast. But when you had this podcast, I was like, no, Asad deserves this. Honestly, it's a sentiment that he would definitely resonate with, and hopefully his listeners.
I really do, well. And I hope they do too. I feel like Sway in the morning right now.
Damn,
it's like
but you got the answers. No. Shout out to Sway, man.
Shout out to love Sway,
for real, definitely.
So whenever you're ready, man.
All right. Okay, so usually this goes much faster, but since there's no beat and I'm just gonna act like it's a poem. All right, so I just turned 21 and all I have is confusion. They said regardless of what you do, as long as you work hard, you can do it. And that, my dear listeners, is an illusion. Because I was working hard in things I couldn't commit my heart in. They were things I'm supposed to do, but my passion hardened. They never told me to be honest with yourself and put truth in. Find something you're passionate about and execute it. And regardless of how many times you fail, failures are lessons, not excuses. What you perceive it is what you choose it. We want love, but it's mere fantasies we're consuming. Some of us accept it. Others try to make a fantasy a reality with what they're producing. If you find something you're good at, don't do it. Unless it's something you're willing to suck at and start all over to get through it. Because that's when you're really passionate. To commit to something so much you don't care about the advantages. Regardless of where you're from and who you are, we're gonna get along. That's what I'm assuming. It's not because I'm open-minded about race or religion. It's about looking at others as humans. Simple concepts we've all harbored, but out there is where we see it diminishing. But we should strive to pave a better place for cute little babies of the future. Thank you for listening.
Ooh. Thank you so much. That was actually very in tune with just like the situations that are going on right now. Everything's going crazy, but this is the kind of
Thank you for having
message,
me.
is the
Thank
kind
you
of
for listening,
music,
and I
this is the
appreciate
kind of stuff that I really wanted to get into. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I don't know about your performance anxiety. I think you're pretty good.
My heart is beating like heavy.
No way. It's just 4 people in a room.
Really?
But thank you so much, man. I am just
really
honored.
appreciate it.
I am just honored to have you on the show.
Oh no, man! I'm the honored one. I'm sure you can tell people later on how exasperated. Is that the right word to say? Like, you're excited and overwhelmed.
Exasperated is a negative thing.
Is it? I don't remember. Damn, I'm my bad. Sometimes my grammar is just off.
It's not even grammar; it's a vocabulary thing.
Damn it, man! I'm just nervous. Man. My heart is still beating. Okay.
No, but thank you.
This is a bad way to end it. I'm just saying I'm honored to be here, to be in the beginning of what I am 100% sure is going to be a beautiful platform in many scales, in many fields. It's gonna cross agendas, it's gonna cross boundaries, it's gonna cross just boxed in ideas. This, I'm grateful, I'm happy. That's all I have to say. So thank you for that. You gave me something to be grateful for. I'm
gonna bite real quick. I'm gonna say, if blushing had a sound, we would be hearing that right now. But thank you so much, man. We should cut it off right now. It's been 30. I think so. Yeah. It's been 36 minutes. Oh my lord. But
yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a part 5.
No, but thank you so much, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I know this was a bit of a long one. Probably gonna cut it in 2 bits. Or 4. No, but thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did what we just witnessed, the entire story, or a glimpse of the story of Ahmad Hamada. This guy, again, is a big inspiration. Look out for his music. I will drop his details in the description. Check him out, support him, and he's coming out with a lot more movements, a lot more stuff. I'm gonna drop his Facebook, his Twitter, everything that I can in the description. Follow this man. He's got things to say. He's got things to do. Check him out. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for sticking around. Cheers, and see you next time.